Are your people working hard but not reaching their full potential? The problem is not effort, it is development. At the Modern Observer Group, we transform workforce development into real performance. Our human-centered achievement programs help your team think better, communicate stronger, and execute at a higher level. That means higher employee engagement, stronger leadership, and measurable results across your organization. If you want a workforce that performs, leads, and delivers, it is time to invest in your people. Visit modernobserver.com and discover how the Modern Observer Group helps you build a workforce that wins.
New tariffs on Canada. Mamdani slapped down over Netanyahu threat. Good news for coffee drinkers, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. The U.S. and Iran attacked one another for a 10th day yesterday, with the Strait of Hormuz remaining a major point of contention. The U.S. military said nearly 100 service members had been injured in the conflict in the past 2 weeks, after deadly attacks on U.S. allies over the weekend that killed 3 American soldiers. President Trump said that Iran will pay for that killing many times over. Meanwhile, the Iran-backed Houthi militia threatened to blockade Saudi ships in the Red Sea, putting even more pressure on global energy markets. The U.S. is imposing additional 50% tariffs on a range of Canadian goods in response to alleged trade discrimination against multiple U.S. products and industries, senior Trump administration officials said Monday. President Donald Trump signed 3 proclamations targeting different sets of Canadian imports with steep tariffs in response to separate areas: motor vehicles, alcohol, and dairy, where the U.S. says it has been treated unfairly, the official said in a call with reporters. The tariffs, which fall under the rarely used Section 338 of the Tariff Act of 1930, are set to take effect in 30 days. Andy Burnham was sworn in as Britain's new Prime Minister, becoming the country's 7th leader in a decade after Keir Starmer stepped down following 2 turbulent years in office. Burnham, the former mayor of Greater Manchester, pledged to cut the cost of living and restore public trust in government, saying that politicians need to be better. A U.S. Army veteran was arrested after lighting off fireworks and starting a fire outside a federal building in Manhattan that houses the FBI, ICE, and other agencies. Authorities said Andrew Arabaka, age 43, allegedly arrived with axes, knives, and a cart bearing an anti-ICE slogan. 3 people suffered minor injuries, and there were no fatalities. President Donald Trump said Monday that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will not be arrested when he visits New York in September, pushing back on a suggestion by Mayor Zohran Mamdani that such an arrest could happen. Mamdani has said New York City's legal department is discussing the possibility of arresting Netanyahu when the prime minister is in the city to attend the United Nations General Assembly. Meanwhile, Democratic State Assemblyman Simcha Eichenstein from Brooklyn wrote a letter Monday to State Attorney General Letitia James asking her to probe possible misconduct by Mamdani, because New York law directly prohibits the mayor from ordering local law enforcement to arrest a specific individual. Under New York penal law, a public servant who knowingly performs an unauthorized act and misuses their position to pressure law enforcement into making an arrest may be guilty of official misconduct, a Class A misdemeanor, Eichenstein said. Furthermore, Eichenstein's letter notes that the U.S. does not recognize the International Criminal Court, which issued a warrant for Netanyahu's arrest, so Mamdani cannot use an ICC warrant as a basis for alleged war crimes in Gaza. A Biden-appointed California federal judge temporarily blocked the proposed $81 billion merger of Paramount and Warner Bros. Discovery, issuing a 14-day restraining order while the courts weigh an antitrust challenge brought by 12 Democratic attorneys general. The deal, which had sailed through federal regulators, now faces a new hurdle with a preliminary injunction hearing set for early August. General Motors raised several key 2026 earnings forecasts Tuesday after beating Wall Street's second quarter expectations as the automaker's North American operations continue to drive its results. The Detroit automaker attributed its guidance change to consistent vehicle transaction prices, lower warranty costs, and narrowing all electric vehicle losses as it wraps up a multi-million-dollar pullback in EVs. These results are very consistent with what we've been doing for the last several years, GM CFO Paul Jacobson said Tuesday during CNBC's Squawk Box. Our first half earnings per share is 25% higher than the first half at any time in our history. Most adults can safely drink up to 5 cups of coffee a day, according to a new statement from the American Heart Association, pegging the ceiling at 400 milligrams of caffeine. Regularly sipping caffeinated coffee was linked to lower risk of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, stroke, heart failure, and some irregular heart rhythms, doctors said. The study only applies to black coffee, and the health benefits vanish when you add sugar or flavorings, eliminating any benefits from your typical Starbucks order. Researchers caution that most caffeine studies are observational and can't prove cause and effect. They also warned that energy drinks with far more caffeine per ounce not only do not show these benefits, but can trigger dangerous heart rhythms. That's the Raw Naked Truth for July 21st, 2026. Remember to like and subscribe to the Raw Naked Truth wherever you listen to podcasts. You can catch every episode of the Raw Naked Truth Daily News Briefed, as well as our sister podcast, Carnivore Radio, with news analysis and commentary, and the rest of the Xvadio Podcast Network at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcast app, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.